In the headlines of this hour on VTV News, Ho Chi Minh City to provide support policies after administrative restructuring. Later on, positive factors drive FDI into Vietnam. And in our world news, the U.S. pushed for stability across the Middle East.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is currently 8 a.m. local time, and you're tuning into 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Dylan Lei with the latest updates. The Politburo convened a meeting on December the 13th to consider disciplinary measures against several former high-ranking leaders. After considering a proposal from the Party Central Committee's Inspection Commission, the Politburo concluded that Nguyen Xuân Phúc, while serving as a Politburo member, Secretary of the Government's Board for Party Civil Affairs, and Prime Minister, violated the party and state's regulations in performing his duties and assigned tasks, and in the fight against corruption and negative phenomena. Trương Thị Mai, as Politburo member, Party Central Committee Secretary and Chair of the Commission for Mass Mobilization, violated party and state regulations, including those on power control and what party members are prohibited from doing, causing serious consequences and damaging the party and state's reputation. Meanwhile, Trương Hòa Bình, as a Politburo member, Deputy Secretary of the Government's Party Civil Affairs Board, and Standing Deputy Prime Minister, failed in leadership, violated party and state regulations, and neglected responsibilities in anti-corruption efforts, causing serious consequences, public outrage, and damaging the reputation of the party and state. Based on the content, nature, extent, consequences, and causes of the violations committed by the above-mentioned party members, the Politburo decided to issue warnings against Nguyen Xuân Phúc and Trương Hòa Bình and a reprimand against Trương Thị Mai. Moving on to other news, on the afternoon of December the 13th, State President Lương Cương received Ambassador Sofiane Chaib of Algeria for a farewell meeting. The state president congratulated the ambassador on his new appointment, expressing confidence that he would continue to advance the strong cooperation between Vietnam and Algeria, regardless of his new role. Highlighting Algeria's important position in Africa, State President Lương Cương reaffirmed Vietnam's commitment to strengthening bilateral relations. He called for both nations to fully capitalize on existing potential and deepen cooperation across various sectors, including politics, diplomacy, economics, trade, investment, culture, education, and people-to-people exchanges, aligning with the two countries' strong ties. Ambassador Chaib thanked the state president for his contributions to the bilateral friendship and invited the state president to visit Algeria. On the 80th anniversary of the Vietnam People's Army and the 35th anniversary of All People's National Defense Day, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính visited the National Defense Academy on Thursday. More to follow.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính emphasized that over the past 80 years, under the absolute and comprehensive leadership of the party, with the love and support of the people and assistance from international friends, the Vietnam People's Army has achieved many glorious victories. They had forged a proud tradition and contributed to the illustrious history of the nation's efforts to build and protect the country. The Prime Minister commended and highly appreciated the National Defense Academy, which, over nearly 50 years, has upheld the proud traditions of the Vietnam People's Army. Looking ahead, the Prime Minister urged the Academy to closely monitor and accurately assess global and regional situations, identify both adversaries and partners correctly, and effectively provide strategic advice to the party and the state on national construction and defense, avoiding any strategic surprises. The Prime Minister also emphasized the need for the Academy to accelerate digital transformation, apply advanced science and technology, strengthen international cooperation, and strive to become a modern center for defense and military training, education, and research.
By 2030, the National Defense Academy should be a leading regional military academy, and by 2045, globally renowned. Vietnam's heroic history and military strategies, such as guerrilla warfare and people's defense, provide a strong foundation. To achieve this, the Academy must adopt English as its second language, aligning with Vietnam's role as a trusted partner and responsible global member.
The Prime Minister expressed his confidence that the National Defense Academy will continue to innovate, achieve significant breakthroughs, and excellently fulfill the tasks entrusted to it by the party, the state, the army, and the people.
Vietnam's Ministry of National Defense has inaugurated a defense attaché office in the Kingdom of Belgium and the European Union. This office will represent the Ministry of National Defense, advising and conducting defense diplomacy activities and fostering bilateral defense cooperation. 21 years ago, Vietnam and Belgium signed a framework agreement on defense cooperation. Meanwhile, since 2019, Vietnam and the European Union have established a framework for Vietnam's participation in EU crisis management operations. Currently, Vietnam engages in defense cooperation with over 100 countries. It maintains defense attaché offices in 35 nations and at the United Nations. At the conference reviewing 5 years of foreign affairs in Ho Chi Minh City for the 2020 to 2025 period, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs Bùi Thanh Sơn emphasized the importance of strengthening economic diplomacy. He urged the city to prioritize high-tech projects and modern governance in breakthrough fields such as semiconductor chips, new technologies and advanced materials, and clean energy industries. The Deputy Prime Minister also encouraged Ho Chi Minh City to continue its pioneering spirit, leveraging its local strengths to expand into new areas of diplomacy, including digital, energy, and semiconductor diplomacy, aiming to elevate the cities to the level of leading urban centers in Asia. Like the rest of the country, Ho Chi Minh City is reorganizing commune-level administrative units. 80 wards in 10 districts will be reduced to 41 new wards, and the city will implement support policies for those affected.
Ward 4 in Gor Vupt district will merge with Ward 7 and 1 into a new ward, affecting 3 chairs and over 100 civil servants. Many are awaiting support policies after the reorganization.
I hope a salary support policy will be available for a few years after the merger, or that future policies will prioritize this.
8 wards in Gor Vupt district will merge into 4 between 2023 and 2030. District leaders have reviewed support policies to assist those losing their positions after the reorganization.
Officials with years of service can be encouraged through supportive policies, and we believe they will support the merger.
Over 1,000 officials have resigned due to administrative changes since 2020. The Ho Chi Minh City People's Council has allocated nearly $6.9 million to support those affected by the merger of 80 wards, with compensation ranging from 3 to 5 months' salary.
In addition to the policies outlined in the government's decree, the city will provide additional support. As a result, the support from the city's People's Council resolution will exceed the amount specified in the government's decree.
The city has set a support roadmap. Officials in the health sector and multitask staff without new assignments will be processed in 2025, while other sectors will be managed between now and 2029.
Vietnam's GDP is projected to grow by 6.7% next year, with an impressive 7.5% growth in the first half of 2025, according to a recent report by Standard Chartered Bank. The bank's experts expect the growth rate to slow to 6.1% in the second half of the year. The report highlights Vietnam's strong economic growth this year, with exports and imports rising by over 15% year-on-year through November. The manufacturing sector has also experienced steady growth. Favorable monetary policies have supported economic recovery throughout the year, while foreign direct investment (FDI) continues to increase, reaching nearly $31.4 billion by November. Attracting foreign direct investment into Vietnam is a priority to drive economic development. Since the beginning of the year, the number of newly registered FDI projects in Vietnam has increased by nearly 2% compared to the same period last year. Improvements in the investment environment, infrastructure, and human resources remain key factors bolstering the confidence of foreign investors.
A Japanese company has been investing in building a factory in Vietnam for nearly 5 years. It specializes in manufacturing robots and automation equipment for export to Asian countries. The company is now investing an additional $20 million to establish a research and development center.
The infrastructure is excellent, including electricity, internet, and transportation. We can also work with manufacturing partners to complete a product.
Among the 79 countries and territories that have launched new investment projects in Vietnam since the beginning of the year, Singapore is currently the largest investor, followed by South Korea and China.
The most important reason South Korean investors remain confident in investing in Vietnam is the country's political stability and the government's administrative improvements.
Since the beginning of the year, the actual disbursed foreign direct investment in Vietnam has increased by 7% compared to the same period last year.
The rapid increase in disbursed capital reflects that Vietnam's investment and business environment has successfully addressed bottlenecks in procedures and institutions. Barriers to investment and business have been reduced.
The Ministry of Planning and Investment notes that many global corporations are restructuring and relocating their production hubs. Countries that respond quickly and prepare effectively will attract these investment flows. Corporations are highlighting Vietnam, in particular, as a bright spot in terms of infrastructure, human resources, and policy mechanisms.
Coming up next on VTV News. Vietnamese students win 6 medals in the 21st International Junior Science Olympiad. And let's explore Sin Suoi Ho, an attractive community-based tourism village. Welcome back to VTV News Live. Now on to other important updates. Of 2 major online fraud cases recently dismantled by Hanoi police, the foremost case involved the Phò Đức Nam network and the seizure of assets and funds exceeding $212 million. Both frauds were committed by establishing companies that were not registered to work in the securities or financial sectors. However, they recruited staff to engage in foreign exchange and securities trading activities regardless. These cases highlight significant legal loopholes in these areas.
The open promotion of financial investment and market participation by individuals posing as international investment brokers is rampant on social media. In Phò Đức Nam's network alone, around 1,000 employees operated across 44 offices nationwide. The lack of legal frameworks for consulting and brokering international securities investments creates loopholes that are exploited for fraud.
Domestic regulations on securities investment consulting and brokerage are stringent, with strict guidelines from the State Securities Commission. In contrast, there are virtually no regulations governing international securities investments, creating a loophole for individuals to exploit and lure investors.
In the Phò Đức Nam case, most of the over $212 million seized assets belonged to the 2 ringleaders. The possession of such vast amounts raises concerns about the oversight of illicit funds from fraudulent activities.
While regulations require taxes on imported goods valued over $500, no rules govern services like cryptocurrency or securities. This lack of regulation on purchases, revenue, or income taxation allows many individuals to operate unchecked. Intermediaries exploit these legal loopholes, essentially acting without restriction.
Since the beginning of the year, the actual disbursed foreign direct investment in Vietnam has increased by 7% compared to the same period last year.
Fraudsters facilitate money transfers by taking advantage of the lack of stringent requirements for legal representatives to register and verify their identity, such as facial authentication.
The Ministry of Planning and Investment notes that many global corporations are restructuring and relocating their production hubs. Countries that respond quickly and prepare effectively will attract these investment flows. Corporations are highlighting Vietnam, in particular, as a bright spot in terms of infrastructure, human resources, and policy mechanisms.
All 6 Vietnamese students participating in the 21st International Junior Sign Olympiad, or IGSO, in Romania have won medals, with 5 silver and 1 bronze. The students hail from Hanoi Amsterdam High School for the Gifted, Newton Secondary and High School, and Nguyen Huệ High School for the Gifted. They are all the students participated. The IGSO 2024, which ran from December the 2nd to the 12th, attracted the participation of over 300 students from 52 countries and territories. The contestants went through 3 exams, multiple choice, theory, and practice, with questions on physics, chemistry, and biology. To restore the Tô Lịch River's water quality, Hanoi's main drainage river, the city is accelerating investment in centralized wastewater treatment plants and implementing major solutions. The latest proposal is to pump water from the Red River to flush the Tô Lịch. The river is expected to be cleaned by September the 2nd, 2025.
The Hanoi Department of Construction has proposed 2 options for pumping water from the Red River, with a station near Nhật Tân Bridge. 2 pipelines will run along Võ Trí Công Street to Nguyễn Hoàng Tôn, then to Chick Sai Street. 1 pipeline will supply water to West Lake if its level drops. At the same time, the other, with a flow rate of 3.3 meters per second, will flow underground beneath the lake to help restore the Tô Lịch River.
This option is feasible, requiring only a small amount of water, and the city can implement it immediately.
City leaders will soon decide on a comprehensive solution for the Tô Lịch River. However, beyond creating flow, more is needed to address pollution. 300,000 cubic meters of wastewater from over 300 sewers is discharged daily into the river. With only 2 treatment plants, about 30% of upstream wastewater will remain untreated and flow into the Tô Lịch.
To address the pollution in the Tô Lịch River, a wastewater collection and treatment system is needed in the upstream area.
Experts suggest that investing in wastewater infrastructure and promoting public efforts to clean the riverbanks must go hand in hand to restore the Tô Lịch River.
Sin Suoi Ho, a Hmong village located on the steep slopes of Lai Châu province, is blessed with the pristine beauty of the northwestern mountains and a cool climate year-round. Leveraging its natural advantages, this 300-year-old village began community-based tourism in 2015. By developing tourism without disrupting the traditional cultural values of the Hmong people, Sin Suoi Ho has become a poster child for community tourism in Lai Châu.
Passionate about exploring natural beauty and ethnic culture, this group of tourists selected Sin Suoi Ho village as their first destination in Vietnam.
We decided to come after watching a television report. We're eager to explore the local life.
We were immediately impressed by the beautiful natural landscapes. I am excited to watch the sunset.
We plan to visit nearby places, visit the local market, and hike. The scenery is poetic, and the food is delicious.
The climate is very pleasant. The people we met were friendly and welcoming, and the children were very open.
The most unique feature of Sin Suoi Ho village is its traditional Hmong architecture, which remains almost intact, something not all highland tourist destinations can achieve. Currently, the village has 152 households, with 29 providing homestay services to tourists. Mr. Vangawa's family has been offering homestay services since 2020, and the number of visitors has steadily increased yearly.
Last year, we had about 300 to 400 guests. This year, it will likely be around 600 to 700.
After more than a decade of engaging in tourism, Sinswariho village changes daily. The village welcomes over 20,000 domestic and international tourists annually. The poverty rate in the village has decreased to 34%, with a yearly reduction of 5 to 6%.
Since 2015, Sinswariho has been recognized as a community-based tourism destination. The village leadership has collaborated to encourage people to set up homestays, restaurants, and guest houses. The local economy has greatly improved, and households' incomes have increased.
The development of Sinswariho as a community tourism destination is based on the unity of the people. The commune regularly organizes tourism training classes, including sewing, dancing, cooking, guiding tourists, and hospitality skills for homestay operators.
In 2023, the Sinswariho Community Tourism Destination was honored with the ASEAN Community Tourism Award. Building on the success of this model, Laicho Province continues expanding community-based tourism, tapping into the region's potential and the rich, diverse cultural heritage of its 20 ethnic groups.
The red-crowned crane conservation and development project at Cham Chim National Park will run from 2022 to 2032. This international initiative needs broad support from both domestic and foreign organizations. Scientists believe the project's success depends on restoring the park's core environment.
Under this project, cranes from Thailand will be bred and released into the wild at Cham Chim National Park. The park's ecosystem and crane habitat will be restored, alongside the development of a sustainable, balanced agricultural model.
We have restored the natural habitat, aiding the conservation of endemic species in the Dong Tháp 10 area.
Restoring the crane habitat requires long-term dedication, but progress is possible within 10 years. This involves restoring the core zone, revitalizing the agricultural ecosystem, and gaining local support around Cham Chim National Park.
I hope the environment here is clean enough for the cranes to thrive. Cranes are intelligent, and their presence benefits local farmers.
After a year of environmental regulations, scientists were delighted to see numerous bird species return to Cham Chim National Park. This year, 4 red-crowned cranes returned to survey the area, a clear sign that the well-managed environment is successfully attracting cranes.
The vegetation quickly recovered, and the grassland area revived. Birds returned in large numbers, signaling that the restored ecosystem would eventually bring the cranes back.
In addition to habitat restoration and ecological agriculture in the buffer zone, the red-crowned crane conservation project at Cham Chim National Park incorporates tourism development, ensuring the cranes can live and reproduce year-round in their natural habitat.
Coming up next in our world news, the U.S. push for stability across the Middle East. And later on, South Korean president faces second impeachment vote. Now moving on to our world news, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is on a Middle East tour to promote a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas and stabilize Syria after recent upheavals. On Friday, Blinken met with Turkish counterpart Hakan Fidan and President Tayyip Erdogan in Ankara, discussing developments in Syria and the need for international cooperation to rebuild Syrian institutions. Regarding Gaza, U.S. officials said Israel and Hamas have softened their positions on a ceasefire, which would last 60 days. Under the deal, Hamas would release over 30 hostages in exchange for the release of Palestinian prisoners and increased humanitarian aid. The U.S. believes Hamas may agree to a temporary Israeli military presence in Gaza, though Hamas has not yet responded. Lawmakers in South Korea will hold a second parliamentary vote on Saturday to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol following his brief attempt to impose martial law, which sparked strong criticism. The vote will require support from 200 of the National Assembly's 300 members to pass, and only then will the matter proceed to the Constitutional Court. Opposition parties, including the main opposition Democratic Party, hold 192 parliamentary seats. This means that at least 8 more People Power Party or PPP lawmakers would need to vote in favor of the impeachment motion. President Yoon Suk-yeol narrowly avoided the first impeachment on December the 7th when most PPP members boycotted the vote. So far, at least 7 PPP members have publicly supported the impeachment vote. The Central Economic Work Conference of the Communist Party of China concluded on Thursday, focusing on the 2025 Economic and Social Development Plan. Key priorities for China in the coming year include moderate monetary easing and boosting domestic consumption. The meeting called for efforts to stimulate consumption, raise incomes, and reduce the burden on low and middle income groups, while strengthening China's scientific and technological capabilities. In 2025, China will implement a proactive fiscal and moderately loose monetary policy, including reserve requirement ratio cuts, interest rate reductions, and increased issuance of long-term treasury and special purpose bonds. Bavarian startup ADMID has developed an innovative technology that aims to harness hydropower in a new way without the need for dams or concrete. ADMID's so-called energy fish is a floating hydroelectric power plant weighing around 100 kilograms that can be installed in a flowing body of water and secured by an anchor.
Unlike the classic form of hydropower, which utilizes height difference in a river, the energy fish uses flow velocity to generate electricity.
The classic form of hydropower is to use a difference in height in the river, but we are now using the flow velocity to generate electricity. So these areas have not been used in hydropower until now, and we are using them in a particularly natural and environmentally friendly way with our technology.
The concept is to install entire swarms consisting of an average of 100 systems. According to the company, a single energy fish can generate electricity for up to 5 homes or 500 homes per swarm.
The advantage is, of course, that it is very decentralized and baseload capable. This means that we don't need to expand the grid on a large scale, but generate energy exactly where it is needed and around the clock. In our opinion, this is also the future of energy production. There will no longer be large individual power plants that supply everything on their own, but there will be many decentralized solutions that can be used for the resources available without interfering with nature and the environment.
The energy fish aims to interfere with nature as little as possible, but according to aquatic systems biologist Jürgen Geist, any technology that uses turbines can impact marine life. And that's why a study of the energy fish's effect on fish is needed.
Up next, let's have a look at the weather forecast. And that is all that we have for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our website, our YouTube channel, or download the mobile app VTVgo for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.